During a trip through time, the Legends were forced to land the Waverider in Blue Valley, Nebraska, where they discovered a young superhero.
Yes!
About to take flight.
That's cool.
Who are you?
I'm Stargirl.
Hello, Legendaires! Welcome back to Tomorrow's Legends. We are covering the first season of Stargirl, and we are on episode 5, Hourman and Dr. Mid-Nite. I am The Flash.
And I'm Harley Quinn.
And no fancy intros this time. But we do have...
Hello, Legends.
I believe Gideon is starting to feel better. She's getting a little bit closer to finishing repairs. We need to get someone. We have to hire Jax or somebody to help repair, because you and me really don't know what we're doing. So she's kind of on her own, or she's instructing us when.
I know. Maybe we can pull Zarya 1.0 out of the totem or something.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. But you're doing all right, eh, Gideon?
Yes, Captain.
There, she's doing okay.
Good news. I was worried.
So, any news this week? Nothing really. This week. I keep talking in weeks, like we're taking a week off between each episode, but man, we're just trucking along here every 2 days.
We are, since it's going at such a fast pace. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't spent a lot of time looking for news. But maybe before our next episode, I'll do a little bit of snooping around, since it will finally have been just about a week.
Yeah, pretty much. I wonder if our listeners are wondering if we're getting tired of each other or not yet. You should see the curses and the fists flying off air. It's crazy. We have to tone it down by the time we hit record.
Oh man, yeah, it's terrible. You wouldn't believe it. We really just are able to turn it on when we press record.
As Patty Spivot says, my podcasting voice kicks in as soon as I hit record.
Oh God, I know. Me too.
Apparently I don't talk like this in person. I don't know.
I don't think I do either. It's definitely something changes when we get going.
Yeah, it's funny, sure. But that means we've truly become podcasters over the last 5 years. So, hey us. All right, guys. So, if you would like to support the show, we're going to keep on mentioning this, throwing this bug in everyone's ears. We have a Patreon account for you all to get in there. I can't remember what the tiers are. There's, I think, $1, $5, $10, $20 levels, or there might even be a $2 one in there. I'm not sure, but it's $2 a month, $5 a month, whatever it is, just to support the show. Let us know that you appreciate all we do. And I like to make the crack that, everybody spends more than that every single day on a pack of gum or on a coffee, on whatever your kids want, all these different things. We're only asking for $1 or $2 a month. And if we could get all of our listeners to do that for us, we would have all of our costs covered, and me and Harley could maybe retire and do this for a living.
Yes, that's the real goal, people.
We don't have that many listeners, not yet anyway, but you know what I mean. Well, yeah, it would be so appreciated. So if you could think about that. I know times are tough right now, guys, but here's what you got to do.
If you'd like to support our podcast, you can do so at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/tomorrowslegends.
All right, well, let's get into it then. Your ratings for this episode.
Yes, all right. I gave this one 7.5 common rookie mistakes.
Yes.
Because I've been saying that for the last 2 episodes. They've definitely slowed the pace a bit. So this episode definitely felt like they're trying to set up the rest of the season and our team and all of that. So we'll just have to see where that goes. I mean, it felt like setup. I was I was really just kind of hoping that Rick wouldn't be so bitter. You know what I mean? Like, I guess I was just kind of hoping that, especially after we saw the intro and we kind of see him as a kid, that he just wouldn't. I mean, I get it. His uncle's like such a jerk, and I understand like it can't be easy to live, like in a household like that. But man, I just was really hoping Rick would be a little bit, I don't know, more of an upstanding citizen than he turned out to be. So,
yeah,
I don't know. Anyways, we'll just have to see if he improves or doesn't. I wonder if they're ultimately going to let Beth join the team. I kind of felt like they were. I thought, I don't know. It seemed like she would be a good fit because the goggles worked for her, and they kind of like told her about everything. So I guess as long as she can end up keeping the secret from her parents, maybe they'll let her join the team. I don't know. We'll just have to see. No one seemed to be too enthusiastic about Beth. But I guess we'll just see where everything is going with the next couple episodes.
Yes, we will. And we tend to say that quite often every once in a while.
We do.
We said that throughout the entire Legends season. I guess we'll wait and see. Guess we'll wait and see. And yeah.
Well, guess we'll wait and see. I don't know. What did you think? Did you have a good opinion?
I gave this one a 7 unstable people.
Okay.
Yeah, like you were saying, this one was the second one in a row now that's all about building the team and not really any villain action other than seeing the Fiddler a little bit. I mean, I do like the little origins we're getting for each of them, but I'm also getting a bit concerned with how they've given it the Flash treatment all of a sudden, of her running around telling everyone that she's a superhero, and here, try this on, wear this outfit, I'm Stargirl, hey, join my team, without even knowing if they can even be trusted or not, and giving pretty much everything away. Yeah. And I can understand, I'm siding with Pat right now, that she is not thinking, she's being really naive and not, processing properly what she's doing, because and like I said, it's the Flash treatment, and this is a couple episodes in a row now, so I think we've also lost a bit of connection to the other characters in the last 2 episodes, like Icicle, and they didn't even give us more of that Dragon King mystery guy either. They ended an episode, and then he wasn't even in this one. Yeah. So I'm kind of teetering on this one. I gave it a 7, but I'm kind of teetering on this one, sort of, because it's a good story for Rick, and we're going to talk about Rick's story. But I think these last 2 weeks, we've just lost a little bit of depth because there wasn't any villainy going on. And like you said, it's all set up. Well, that's fine, but we still need to have a underlining backstory going on, and there really just wasn't these last 2 episodes.
Yeah, no, it was definitely focused on team building, for sure. And that was the major focus of it. So I definitely felt that as well.
Yeah.
All right.
So, well, let's get into the episode. I'm going to just start it off here with something about Dragon King, because I was thinking after the last episode, everyone was questioning, why does Dragon King want Wizard's body? And I'm thinking, okay, he's wearing a hood. We could see that he's got some type of lizard skin. Maybe somehow, some way he's able to pull energy from it to restore himself. Maybe he's trying to reverse whatever has caused him to be in this lizard skin state. And using people's dead bodies, maybe he can harvest something from them. And the wizard being a superhero, maybe he does have a bit of meta energy in him. Maybe he can draw from that and help heal himself. That's a viable villainous thing to do, I would think, for him. Maybe he doesn't want to be like that.
I mean, maybe. It's definitely a possibility. I don't feel like, I don't think any of us really, I guess, knows this much about this guy. So it was kind of like mind-boggling to me. It definitely had a very Hugo Strange vibe, like from Gotham. And so when he, asks for the body, immediately I'm like, interesting. I guess we'll see where they go with that. So is he going to try to bring him back to life? I mean, I don't really know where this is going. But yeah, that's definitely an option. Maybe he could pull his meta energy.
Well, I like throwing predictions around on Legends, so let's see if this is my first prediction for Stargirl. Let's see how correct I am.
All right. Well, let's track it. And have you noticed that we've started every episode? I think we've started every single episode with flashback, just about. Maybe not the very first one. So I guess is this like their thing? So let's start with a flashback? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. And it's fine. I mean, these flashbacks have been fine. They've been building our characters for us. That way we see where they started and what led them to be who they are in the present time. And I think that's fine. That's totally okay.
Yeah, I'd rather have the flashback than just some like random bit of exposition that Pat tends to give people. So it's a little different way. I like that version of storytelling. So in this episode, we got to go back to 9 years ago. And we learned that Rex Tyler had a wife and a child, and they left their son behind in Blue Valley. They clearly knew that the Injustice Society was coming for them, and they must not have known about the son. So they left him with, I believe, the wife's brother, who turned out to be pretty much a jerk. But yeah, so it turns out they were killed in a car accident, which was Grundy.
Yes, which leads to why I thought last episode that's how he's the one that went after Denise and crushed the car, because he did almost the exact same thing.
Yes, 100%. I definitely think that's how Denise died now.
Yeah.
I mean, I was pretty well there with you, but now I'm like, confirmed. Even though not, but I think so. So
yeah. So it was our man Rex that left all that info for Pat. Remember in the beginning we saw the big him putting all the package together and mailing everything, and had Pat's name on it in Hollywood, which is what we saw Pat gathering when they move and he unpacks everything and starts looking up information and everything. So it was our man that sent him all of that stuff.
Yep.
But what was all in that journal? Because in the beginning of the episode we saw our man scribbling like crazy, trying to fill in that book, and it looks like there's formulas and markings and all just kinds of sciencey stuff or whatever. So I'm just curious if we're going to get more on that. What was in that journal? What kind of information? What kind of secrets?
Yeah, we definitely could, because, Pat has the journal, so there's no reason why, Courtney couldn't either find it, or he couldn't, let them know, or give it to Rick at some point. You never know. So yeah, that could definitely happen, I think. And I think like what was inside, there definitely was like a whole bunch of like chemical type of formulas. I didn't like stop the screen or anything and try to read it, but no,
neither did I.
Yeah, but there definitely was like some chemistry type of stuff in there, which made sense since at one point we're told that everything about our man was kind of like tied to his DNA. So, he must have been some sort of like molecular biologist or something, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Something like that.
And then bringing it back to Rick, it was definitely a horrible upbringing for him, because, imagine him. He's just a tiny little boy. I don't know if he was 4 or 5 years old, however old he was there. Watching his parents leave in a rush and not knowing why.
Yeah.
Only to have them crash and die. And he has to grow up with his uncle, and now his uncle blames him for losing his chance at life by having to take care of his nephew. And because of that, he treats him like garbage. He drinks beer or whatever. So, yeah, it's a bad start for Rick. And if that's the only parental figure he has, and the guy obviously beats on him and treats him like dirt, it's hard to be a happy kid.
Yeah. No, I get that. It's really hard. So I felt bad for him.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. I got some other ideas on him as we get through our notes here. But yeah, like you said with Grundy, I just wanted to say I told you, because that's what I thought last week.
Oh yeah, for sure. I am not gonna lie. Like some of the things you called, I was like, "Are you sure you hadn't already watched this episode?" Because there were several things that were like spot on. But
nope, I've only watched this 5th one now. I'm going to watch episode 6 when we're done here. So
yeah,
I'm not ahead anymore.
No, I'm not. I'm obviously not. I'm going to try and watch it tomorrow. So yeah.
And then again, the music, the soundtrack that they keep laying down for these episodes, it's just so much fun.
Yeah,
good music. It reminds me of like Footloose and Stand By Me, and all these old musical movies from the 80s. That's kind of the vibe it's giving me. It's fun.
Yes, it is. No, it does. They have a great soundtrack, and they pull out some good like 90s stuff too, which always makes me nostalgic. So
yeah, good stuff.
All right. So, hey, janitor spoke this episode. I was like, oh, well, that was different. And I don't know, was it Irish or Scottish maybe?
I couldn't tell. He said one sentence, so I couldn't really tell.
He did. He said one sentence. He said, "There are dragons in the water." Like, what? What? I don't know. What does that even mean? That's insane. It's just gibberish, but I felt like we needed to mention it.
He's referencing Dragon King. That's the only thing I can come up with. I have no idea. That's like a code or a hint or something. Like,
yeah, I'm with you. That's like that's the only thing I can think of. I don't know. Are the Injustice people tampering with the water supply? I don't know. I don't even know what to do with that.
That could be something too. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to keep our eyes peeled. So we're tracking the janitor. Very much noted and tracked this episode. So we'll see what becomes of him. We also talked an awful lot about genetics, I think, in our last episode. And it looks like, at least in this case, it definitely sees to be genetic, because Hourman's artifacts are definitely clearly drawn to his son.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we were talking a bit about that. We were hypothesizing about that, and it definitely did come through, at least for this character. And
yeah,
we were right about that. And I wanted to say thanks to X-Force 11 Jeff there, because in the comics, because we were talking about, okay, if why does the suit for work for Yolanda? Is she related to Wildcat somehow? And I was like, no, her looks like her family background is completely different. And Jeff had posted on her Facebook page that in the comics, Wildcat was actually Yolanda's godfather. So there is a connection there. Now, whether we're going to see that on the show play out, I don't know. Who knows? But like you were saying, the hourglass was totally drawn to Rick. So maybe the history of all the artifacts, maybe that's what it is. I don't know. We will have to see our catchphrase for this this season. But I'm wondering if the artifacts are somehow in some way connected down the line, genetically or family-wise. We'll have to see what's going on there.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of them maybe. They very clearly stated this episode that his was, because it was tied directly to Hourman's DNA, which, of course, some of which would survive in his son.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that makes sense why that particular one is going to Rick. But what's interesting is that it wasn't always working. So I think maybe his anger might be a little, it might be kind of causing some issues with it, because it seems like a lot of these artifacts are drawn to the good in people, and he doesn't have a whole lot of good in him right now. Not to say he couldn't, but right now he definitely doesn't.
Yeah, again, we'll come back to that, because we got a point much farther down in our notes. I want to touch on that about whether he's a good or bad kid. So we'll come back to that.
Come back to it.
But speaking of the hourglass still, I like the effect for it with the hourglass, and just the idea of it, that you only get super strength for 1 hour. I mean, why that's a cool idea is because that makes the hero not limitless and unbelievable. It's kind of cool. It kind of still humanizes him a little bit and makes it a little bit more believable. You only get strong for an hour, and that's it. But my question is, how often can you turn the glass? Can you do it every hour for another hour? Does it need to cool down? Does Hourman need a rest? Does he have to rest for 23 hours before he can do it again? I want to know what the criteria is behind that. Sure, you get strong for an hour. Well, what's stopping him from just flipping it again? I'm strong for another hour. Flip it again. Strong for another hour. There's got to be something in there.
Yeah, I got the impression, and I feel like because I think I looked up Hourman's powers like a few years ago when the JSA was coming on Legends, and I had thought that the deal was he could do it, have super strength for 1 hour, but then it did have to wait like 23 hours to reset. And I don't know if Beth stated that explicitly. She just said that you get super strength for 1 hour, and then someone said, and what? So you're just a regular guy for the other 23? That seems a little pointless. So I don't know if they've explicitly stated that in the show. I'm thinking you get it for an hour and then you got to wait another 23, but I don't really know. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm going to get sick of saying that.
What that does, though, it's cool because it means that you have to be very strategic in when you turn it.
Yes.
When do you most need that strength?
Exactly.
You've got to time it right. So I like that idea. It's actually kind of cool.
It is. Yeah. There's a lot of strategy to it as well. So I thought that is very cool. Very good point. I hadn't thought of that in that exact way. But okay. He's got to have, I mean, we know that he's like starting to figure this out, but this is the point in the episode I'm talking about is the scene where they first meet Rick, right? The car is broken down and he's talking to him. He's talking to him about his dad and the yellow Mustang. And then Courtney puts two and two together because the hourglass is going off in the back seat. And so they both kind of figured out who Rick was, came to exactly the same conclusion in completely different ways because they have completely different knowledge sets. And I thought that was pretty amusing. But yeah, I was like, surely he's gonna figure out something's up, because if he knows who he knows who he was or figured it out, and then Courtney goes running after him, I mean, come on. He's gonna figure, he knows what she's doing.
Yeah, I mean, Pat is figuring things out. I don't think Pat's a dummy. He's making the connections all on his own. And I mean, Hourman entrusted him with all that information for a reason. He may not be of heroic material, but he's got a good mind on him. I mean, look at what he built. He built that robot. So he's smart, and he's got a lot of ingenuity. So yeah,
absolutely,
he'll figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, he does. But we can talk about the end at the end. Oh, dear. So since we're talking about new heroes we're acquiring, let's talk a little bit about Beth. I don't get the impression she's your favorite. I think she's cute, but you're right. She does talk an awful lot. And God, what kills me is she just completely, literally stumbles into this stuff. You know, she goes to the house looking for Courtney because she knows who they are because, shocker, they don't use their code names. Duh. And then she just, following the dog around, chewing on the goggles. And then she decides to randomly try on the goggles. I don't know what compelled her to do that. And then they worked for her. Would they have worked for anybody? I don't really know. But it does seem like each of these artifacts tends to be choosing people. So I'm leaning towards the fact that Beth might be our new Dr. Mid-Nite because the goggles chose her. What say you?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, she started off by spying on them and then
following them.
Yeah, she's following them, she's spying on them, she's listening in, and then when she goes to visit Courtney and her mom kicks her out of the kitchen, she just wanders into her room. I mean, who does that? You're the first time you're visiting someone's house and you're told to go wait in the living room. Who snoops around someone's house the first time visiting there? I just don't get that. It really drove me crazy about her, and I actually found her a bit much for me in this episode. And I really hope we don't see that over talking, can't shut up thing too much more, because it's going to get annoying fast. As fast as Barbara kicked her out of the kitchen, it's going to get annoying and grating. So she was a little bit over the top this time. So she's cute and she's funny, but boy, oh boy, they got to keep a handle on it, because it will dry up fast, that shtick.
It can. I can see how it can get old fast, but I did kind of like her with the goggles. So hopefully they allow her to continue participating.
Yeah, well, I think she's got the brain, because she's a smart girl. Obviously, she does a lot of reading and researching. She's got the brain. So if that's what Dr. Mid-Nite was for the team, then it makes sense that she would transition into it. But it didn't seem like they wanted her to be a member. I don't know. So I guess she's going to have to prove herself some way, somehow. I don't know anything about Dr. Mid-Nite either, if that's what his role on the JSA was the brains and the tech guy. He's kind of like the Batman of the team. So yeah, we'll have to see.
Well, he was blind. I know that much. And that's what she says as well. So she kind of confirmed that. I think they did more or less take him kind of straight out of the comics. Probably because they could because, they have the AI that they can work with. So I thought that was pretty cool. And it allows us to fill in a lot of gaps that, Courtney doesn't know about and other people don't know about, because, Pat, maybe even Pat doesn't know about. I don't know. So I kind of like that they finally have an actual walking JSA database. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, and you said, would the goggles work for anyone? I have a feeling they were. They're a gadget that he created. I don't think there's anything fancy about it. It doesn't give meta powers or anything. I think it's a high-tech gadget. Probably would have worked for whoever put them on.
Yeah, I don't know. It felt like Courtney said, and she did get the goggles working at one point, but I don't know. Well, maybe they'll fill us in more about that.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Well, looks like we've got another villain coming, potentially. Looks like Henry is getting his dad's powers after all, which was a very interesting scene. And I wonder, what I can't tell is if it's because his dad is in a coma and basically down for the count. He's not dead, but for all intents and purposes, he is. So maybe his powers have passed on to his son. Does that even make sense? But it seemed very convenient that Brainwave is out of the picture, and now all of a sudden Henry's powers are working or starting to work.
I think it's emotion based. He's hurting right now. He's up. Him and his dad didn't really get along, but now that he doesn't have his dad, I think he's hurting. And he's upset, and people are, he's got nobody to turn to. And then that stupid Cindy is just being nasty, like so heartless and cold and self-centered about her own stuff. She doesn't even give him a shoulder from to lean on, and they're supposed to be a couple. Yeah. So I think it's emotion trigger because he left the house. He's like, I'm just getting out of here or whatever. And that's when he hears Yolanda from across the street. He hears her call him a jerk. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's emotion triggered. So once, which we've seen so many times in superhero stories, that emotions can trigger their powers to come out. And we've seen it in the Arrowverse. We've seen it in the X-Men stories. We've seen all kinds of things that emotions can trigger superpowers, awakening, basically.
Yeah, that's true. So that's probably where they're going with it. It's interesting that the villains all seem to have like meta type of powers, like you said.
Yeah, and our heroes are gadget based.
And it's kind of weird. But so it was in between these scenes that Beth, they kind of leave Beth at this party because Courtney and Yolanda are going out to kind of confront Rick and try to convince him to be the new Hourman, I guess. But they're like, oh, we don't want you to get hurt. Like, you need to just stay here. And I felt so bad for her. Like, she's so lonely. This is where we get this kind of like monologue for her where she talks about her parents. They were always like her best friends. And now they kind of want to get back to their own lives, like now that she's older. So I don't know, like I kind of get that on one hand, like you kind of like you have your children, but in some ways, you also kind of want your own life back. But wouldn't you want to like be close with your only child? I don't know. I felt really bad for her that her parents are also not even wanting to be around her.
I don't know. I think if she can't ever stop talking like the way we've seen her, I think I'd be looking for a way out too. I mean, there's a point you give your first 15 years of your life to taking care of your kids, and then it's time. Okay, kids are starting to grow into young adults, and you as an adult just want some time. You want some parent time. You want to get to yourself. So if she's like that all the time, it's just too much, and that's why they want her to find her own friends. And that's probably why they're both at work and staying away, because they're just like, okay, it's a little bit much. Like, she relies on us way too much. We need an excuse to not be home as often. That's kind of the feeling I'm getting. And, she's so hopefully this will work out for her. She's got a team to be part of. Maybe that'll
help,
make her parents happy.
Yeah. I just felt bad for her. All right, let's talk about Rick. So we've kind of gone through all of our people. So let's get into Rick. He's definitely not really an upstanding kind of kid, thanks to his jerk of an uncle. And the only reason he ends up agreeing to join the team is for revenge after Beth shows him the truth. So that's what I was kind of going like back and forth. I was like, I really like had higher hopes for him, but he's just so eaten up by anger. Like, I wonder if he can ever really get past that.
Well, see, I think this is what I was alluding to when I kept saying, just wait. Because I think he is probably a good kid inside. He's just so angry at what happened to him and has no way to deal with that emotion. No one has guided him at all. And I get that anger. I can relate to what he went through in a lot of ways. So you can't really blame him. And at that age, it's hard to process what you're feeling. I mean, you're a teenage boy and you've got, your emotions and your hormones and everything's going on. There's a lot of changes happening to kids at this age. And I think he just can't process everything that he's feeling. It's just really difficult. So what I'm hoping is that once being with the team for a while, because we see how good Courtney is, we see how good Yolanda is, that will temper him a little bit and he can learn to cope and maybe have someone to rely on. Because I get the feel like it seems like he's a loner. He doesn't even have friends. Yeah. So I think once he has that, it'll allow him to cope and open up a little bit and decide that maybe getting justice is a little bit better than getting revenge. And I think that's the story we're going to see for him.
I hope so. I definitely hope so. So I kind of hope to see that turnaround. So we'll see. Right now, he just seems very angry, and that seems dangerous to hand him a powerful artifact.
Yeah, but like I said, it makes sense. I went through kind of, and I wasn't, my parents didn't leave me, but my dad did leave us when I was 7, and I didn't know how to handle it growing into, 10, 11, 12 years old. That I had anger issues and stuff. I got sent to counseling. in high school because I had issues and stuff and I just couldn't figure things out. So I get it. I understand what he's going through. And,
Yeah.
it was, it makes sense to me. And I might end up connecting to this kid and relating to him more than any other characters because I feel what he's feeling. So
Yeah. Well, good. Maybe you can help explain. Well, all right. Well, I think this is not quite the ending scene, but one of them. Now, we get a couple random snippets of the creepy mayor, CFO, whatever president, I don't know what he is, of the New America place, doing all sorts of shady stuff. So we get down to one of the ending scenes and we get the reveal that Principal Bowen is definitely the fiddler. And this was a really interesting and like odd scene that kind of brought all of this stuff together. Is they're trying to acquire like some satellite dish from this shipment. And so, you know, he pays off and kills one of the people at the trunk company so that, you know, they can basically, I guess, get this dish or whatever it is. And then he uses the fiddler to hypnotize people, for lack of a better way to put that. And before he kills the one dude, but I don't know. What did you think about all of this? Do you have any thoughts about this satellite thing?
Yeah, it was kind of a weird scene in the middle of everything else, but we did see the power of her fiddle now, and I think it's mind control. Obviously, she's able to turn them into type of zombies and get them to do whatever she needs them to do, but it only seems to work on the weak-minded. So, because that one guy, he's like, ooh, you have much stronger willpower than, you know, unfortunate for you. So to me, that's not a very strong superpower. If it only works on the weak-minded, anyone can basically stand up to her if they've got the sense of will. But we also see the mayor guy with his sleeve gun, which is kind of funny. There's lots of killing going on in this town. There's people dropping down every episode.
For a small town.
And nobody's really noticing yet. I don't know. Or no one's really saying, hey, something's up here. But yes, that satellite thing. Earlier in the episode, we saw the blueprint delivered to him in that movie theater he was sitting in.
Yeah.
And it was some kind of satellite. So I'm thinking, okay, that is what Dragon King is building. Now, what could it be? They're gathering parts for this thing. They're building it. Is it a communication device? Is it some type of mass mind control? Maybe the fiddler's going to send her music through this satellite, you know, and control the country, hence New America and all that kind of stuff. They'll get everybody under control. That's kind of where I'm leaning at the moment, what this satellite dish could possibly be. Yeah,
I mean, that makes the most sense because I was racking my brain trying to figure it out. I'm like, what in the world are they going to do with a satellite dish? Start a freaking radio station? Like, I don't understand. Like, what is happening? So, yeah, maybe they're going to try to control the media and maybe work the fiddler into it and have some sort of mind control. That'd be kind of cool. Could get behind that. So, we'll see.
I guess prediction number 2, we'll see. That was a guess. More of a guess than a prediction, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty solid guess, so we'll see where they go with that. And now the final scene. Pat knows, officially knows, since he went into Courtney's room looking for her since he was already suspicious and then found the Green Lantern. So he knows what's happening. It looks like we have at least pieces of our new team. All of the promo pictures that we saw were of 4 heroes, and I'm guessing they're Stargirl, Dr. Mid-Nite, Wildcat, and Hourman, plus Stripe behind them. So that's what's leading me to say I think we finally have our new team, but then they have to convince Pat, so they haven't quite gotten everybody there yet.
Yeah, so I agree with you that. That might be the team because that's the promo images we've seen.
Yeah.
I mean, they need to recruit more, and
they have more gadgets.
She's got the pink pen, she's got the lantern, and I'm wondering what the lantern is going to get used again, you know, based on the interviews we read last episode. But we have to see Pat confront her first, that there's not going to be a team yet. He's going to confront her, they're going to have an argument about it, and he's either going to give in or he's going to decide to help her just to be able to protect her.
Yeah, that's my guess.
You know, so we'll see what he says, and we'll see what she defends against and comes back at him with, and that'll be hopefully what next episode kicks off with. We'll have to see. Yeah,
I would hope so. I would like to see almost a direct continuation where maybe he's like waiting in her room, which is creepy, but given the circumstances, like,
Well,
waiting.
did he take everything back? Did he? Because he had the lantern in his hand. We didn't see him grab all the bag of stuff and leave with it. So
I mean, that might be what he'd be sitting there with, sitting in a chair, like waiting with the bag. He'd be like, explain yourself, please.
yeah.
The classic bad guy turns around in a chair. That'd be funny.
Well, cool. I mean, that's that episode. We pretty much covered everything. Again, another one that's not super, super deep for us to get into and speculate, but still.
Yeah, it was,
overall not bad. It
was more about the character development, the hero development, which is kind of why my notes unintentionally ended up literally going character by character.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, let's get to our favorite scenes.
Yay.
Shape out an eagle!
I will start it off tonight because mine comes near the beginning of the episode. And this one, just the humor in the show is spot on, though. I do like the jokes in here. And this is when Pat was showing Courtney the newspaper about the wizard. And she was asking about his powers and, and saying, why are the villains killing each other? And he's like, well, they aren't exactly stable people. I love that line. So that's the one I chose with. Here it is.
I think Joey's dad was a member of the Injustice Society, William Zarek. We called him the Wizard.
Of course you did.
I think maybe he and his wife were killed by the ISA.
Why would a villain kill another villain?
Well, I mean, they're not exactly the most stable people to begin with, and I'm starting to think you might be right. They could all be in Blue Valley.
They're not exactly stable people. Yeah. Yes. Just cracked me up. Love it.
That was a great line. There's a lot of good lines. Mine,
like yours.
Yeah, I was gonna say mine's in a similar vein. I chose the scene when Courtney kind of confronts Beth in her room, and there's a very humorous line.
Here it is.
What are you doing in my room?
Oh, Chuck, tell me about her.
Courtney Elizabeth Whitmore. Permanent record includes the following infractions: talking back to teachers, fighting
These
in the
things are like
cafeteria.
Wikipedia on rocket fuel. I wonder what else it could do.
What else can I do?
Take those off.
I am able to shift into various spectrums, including X-ray, infrared, and night vision.
This is so bonkers.
The goggles are just something my stepdad is working on.
False. These were invented by Dr. Charles McNider after he lost his sight fighting the mob. They helped a blind man see. He put on a mask and became Dr. Mid-Nite, later joining the Justice Society of America.
Give me those right now.
And I know that you're a superhero too.
What?
I saw you last night at the hospital, flying.
That's crazy. And that wasn't me. And you shouldn't even be in my room right now. I don't even know you.
Well, A, we eat lunch together every day. And B, last night at the hospital, I heard you call Yolanda by her real name.
That is a common rookie superhero mistake.
Chuck says that's a common rookie superhero mistake. It got someone named the Red Bee killed.
Oh, I have no idea who the Red Bee is, but yes, that's been driving me bonkers for the last 2 or 3 episodes that they just use each other's names.
Yeah.
Oh,
pretty fun, though. Pretty fun little scene.
It was great. Yeah. I was like, oh, yes, thank you. You called it out. Thank you.
All right. Well, let's get into feedback.
Feedback.
23 powers, activate!
Okay. I'm going to take this one tonight. It's an email from our bud, Kerry Johnson. And he says, based on the personalities of Rick and Beth, their introduction into the new JSA makes perfect sense. Rick has developed so many defense mechanisms, of course, it would be difficult to gain his trust and bring him on board. Beth, though, that chick basically invited herself into Courtney's house, made herself at home, and was so ready to be on the team. Kind of reminded me of Flash in Justice League. Before Bruce could even invite Barry into the league, he accepted. Barry and Beth both need friends, and the JSA gives Beth something she hasn't really had, a place to belong.
Yes.
I'll be honest, I had no idea what Hourman's powers were until this episode. For some reason, I assumed he could manipulate time in some way. Yeah, me too. It's so funny. Hourman, I guess he only gets an hour a day. So it's kind of tongue-in-cheek, but anyway, having access to superhuman strength for 1 hour a day is a cool concept. When do you activate it? If you don't use it for a day, does it roll over? What are the limits to his strength? So many questions. Yes, I'm with you, Carrie. I want answers. I want to know. And Beth as Dr. Mid-Nite, she finally has someone who likes to talk and connect. and is as quirky as she is. Well, yeah, I guess the goggles really do kind of match her there. They both can just go at it and never stop talking.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's nice to see a quirky hero who isn't the ordinary computer hacker trope.
True.
Stray observations. The new JSA needs a headquarters or clubhouse or someplace to meet. Stashing gear in lockers or in the closet or under the bed is not the move.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The adults on the show, save for the Dugans, are either evil, creepy, deadbeats, or dead. It's interesting because this is a show where the teenagers are the star's heroes. So the depiction of adults kind of feels like a referendum on how most teens view adults.
Yes, it does.
Interesting perspective. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Creepy villains meeting in a dark theater is creepy. Is the villain's plan to use satellites to broadcast a brainwave signal around the world to control the population? Feels almost like the Fates plan on Legends.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, I guess a brainwave signal would work too. But we did see, I mean, they're highlighting the fiddler right now, so maybe...
True.
In conjunction with each other? Maybe her music spreads the brainwave? I don't know.
I don't know. That could go either way, but yes, it is eerily similar to the Fates over on Legends. That's funny.
The Fiddler's abilities are revealed, a form of mind control which could fit into the New America plan nicely. It's exactly what I was saying, Carrie. Mm-hmm. I give this episode 7.5 mind control violins solos out of 10. By the way, finishing the ep with classical music as the backdrop felt very Smallville-like, especially when Lionel or Lex were up to something. See you guys next episode, and thanks again for the 100th podcast swag. That's right. Did you see the pictures he posted today, Jess?
I did.
Yeah, it looks really nice. I'm glad you got your stuff in one piece and wasn't torn open and spread across the country there.
I know. I sent Bianca another pen, so hopefully she gets that one.
Yeah, but cool. I mean, and it's funny he just displays it on a shelf there. I mean, that notebook, by all means, go ahead and use it, Gary. You said you're a reporter, so use it. True. It'd be fun to, maybe you can go scope out, I don't know, bad guys in your town and write stories about them. I don't know.
There we go. Use your powers for good.
All right. Well, thanks, Gary. Next up is a voicemail from Patty Spivot.
Hey, Flash and Harley, it is Lisa calling in, episode 5. Holy dang, it is getting exciting around Blue Valley. I do have a couple of questions, though, that raised for me. I thought at the very, very first opening of episode 1, when they were having that big battle in the house with the green fire and Icicle and the Injustice Society were beating and killing off all of the Justice Society members. So Pat was there and he was like naming each of the JSA members as he was seeing them. Didn't he say Hourman? I'm positive he did. So if that's the case, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I'm crazy, but how come he could also be in the car with his wife crashing into Grundy in the tree and dying over there? So I'm confused. Please enlighten me. Secondly, wow, don't you think Courtney needs to vet some of her new recruits? Like, she just moved to this town. She does not know anybody. She just walks up to Rick just because she thinks that he's gonna be grateful that she has a glowing hourglass. He has no idea what she's all about, who she is. And she knows nothing about him. Like, he's the delinquent of the school, according to Yolanda. And hopefully he's just a troubled guy and he's not too corrupted and he'll come back around for them. But, oh my gosh, she can't just be flinging this information around to a bunch of strangers. She's driving me kind of crazy, I gotta say. And if she would just listen and work with Pat, oh my gosh, those two need to communicate. It's like they're doing the same puzzle, but they're like hoarding half the pieces. Right? They're just never going to get this figured out if they don't have a conversation. So hopefully they will, now that Pat discovered that Courtney has all the JSA tools. Prediction. I think Mike is going to find the pink pen. Little brother Mike. And I think that might be a fun recruitment. But that's just my own little thing. And lastly, I would really like to see Cindy's backstory. What on earth happened to her to make her so evil? Most of the time when there's a bully, something bad has happened to them and they're angry and lashing out. And I don't know, either that has happened and something awful has happened to her, or she's just plain rotten to the core, and I don't know. Maybe she's Icicle's long-lost daughter. I don't know. They seem to be cut from a similar cloth. Anyways, that's me. Looking forward to the podcast, and we'll talk to you guys next episode.
Yes, what is up with Cindy? I am sure we're going to get a backstory on her.
Yeah, I think so.
Just as sure as I think she's going to turn into one of the villains.
Yeah, that's true. I would be surprised if she didn't.
Like arch nemesis, you can see it. Her and Courtney.
Oh yeah,
totally.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll see. Maybe we'll see what happened to her. I mean, some kids are just that bad in school, but also, yeah, some bullies, they're totally abused and beaten by their dad at home, so they turn around and do the same thing at school by pushing kids around because they got a leash, let go of that stuff as well. So yeah, I mean, she's feeling how I'm feeling. Courtney is being a bit dumb and it's a little bit head shaking, like, oh my God, girl, maybe you should slow down and look into these people before you spill your guts on everything.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Now, her question about the Hourman thing, how can he be laying on the ground dying in the fight and then next be, with his wife in the car? And I think those are two different time periods, because I remember Pat saying Hourman's the only one that survived that battle.
Yeah.
So that he probably got away, they probably thought they killed him and he got out of there and he left with his wife and his kid I think they ran off and escaped and probably found out that Grundy was coming for them, or the Injustice Society found out where they were.
Yep.
And they were coming for him to finish the job. And that's probably why the two of them were escaping, because when they left their son, he said, they don't know about him. So change his name. Your last name is now Harris instead of whatever. And that they'll never know about him. We just got to get out of here, get far away. And I think that's what it was, is they went into hiding and they got found out and they were trying to escape. Completely different time period. Whether it was weeks later, months later, who knows?
Yeah.
Actually, I would years later probably, because they didn't have a son before and now they have one. So
yeah,
years.
I feel like Pat said it was at least a year later, maybe 2, that Hourman ended up dying in the car wreck. So yeah, a year or 2 later for sure.
Mm-hmm. There you go. And the other point she made was Mike in the pink pen. I don't know. Mike's driving me crazy. I really don't want him to have any major role in this at all. Like I can't imagine him having control of a genie. That would be nuts.
That would be hilarious.
All right, Patty, thank you for that. Next up is X-Force. Bianca. She's next.
Hey, Flash and Harley. It's Bianca. Back again with more feedback for episode 5 of Stargirl. And another quick flashback with Hourman, Rex Tyler, and his wife, showing them trying to get out of Dodge really, really fast. And leaving their son, Rick, with the wife's brother probably seemed like a good idea at the time, but, eventually turns out to be not a good idea because he's a massive jerk. This guy's a loser. He totally could have, changed things around for the better when he knew that, his sister and her husband weren't coming back. But no, just decides to wallow and takes it out pretty much on Rick, who doesn't deserve it. Yeah, I have no love for the uncle. No love whatsoever. When we see Courtney oversleeping, getting scared by Mike, and then, her mom comes in and picks up her clothes off the floor and puts them in the closet, she thankfully doesn't see, Courtney's Stargirl outfit. But really, girl, really, you gotta do a better job of hiding your stuff. Just because it's a closet doesn't mean it's a good place to hide it. And I really, really can't believe that she shoved almost everything in there, in that huge, huge duffel bag, and took it to school and then shoved it in her locker. She needs like some secret hiding place or something. Maybe Pat can help her, or I don't know. We'll see, but she just needs a better place. And
she does.
My nickname for Beth is Snoopy McSnooperson. She's an eavesdropper, spire, just she's not very subtle about it. And surprised she didn't get caught, but, you know, I guess that's just how things happen, right? And then the mini incident in the hallway with the janitor. Again, the janitor. Oh, I haven't figured out who he is yet. I have some suspicions, and I'm not going to share them yet, but he keeps spouting these odd phrases. Like today in this episode was, there are dragons in the water. Not quite sure what that means. Other than, you know, we had, you know, the Dragon King last episode, but yeah, I don't know. There's just something about him. He's there and the camera focuses on him way too much every now and then. So we'll see. Maybe we'll find out in the next episode or so. I feel like that little teeny mystery is a bit too much for them to keep hiding this much. So we'll see. And Courtney's recruitment continues. She's, you know, trying to figure out who to bring into her circle. And she's kind of prodding along when she sees the hourglass glow. When Rick is helping Pat out with the car that happened to break down on the way home from school. Interesting. So apparently it's genetic, obviously, since it glowed for him and for no one else. So, yeah. And Courtney's not subtle at all. She, you know, follows the kid, pretty much, you know, corners him on the road and takes the hourglass out of the bag. I can't believe she did it. It just, like, shoves it on his chest and is puzzled when it doesn't work. You know, like they say, it's like, no, that's not how the Force works. That's not how these things work, Courtney. It's just, yeah, I mean, crazy. We'll see. He eventually comes around a teeny bit later, but yeah. And when Court finally gets home, she finds Beth in her bedroom. I think I would have flipped out a bit more than she did, finding some girl I barely knew in my room and wearing the goggles that belong to Dr. Mid-Nite. The phrase she used was pretty funny, you know, Wikipedia on steroids. That was great. And I looked it up because, you know, the voice was pretty, I don't know, something made me look it up. So the voice of Dr. Mid-Nite is Henry Thomas, who was the kid from E.T., Elliot. Totally didn't figure that out at all.
Saw his name in the credits, actually.
So, that's all I can picture now when I hear the goggles talking. I had to share that, so now maybe some other people will also picture little Elliot talking through the goggles. And
I totally will.
Of which, how do you charge those things? Don't you have to charge those goggles? I'm sure they don't have an infinite battery. No way. I don't think so.
Solar powered.
Also, Cindy Berman is a mean girl. Yes. Mean. Oh, I can't believe she was so mean to Henry about his dad. That's low. And a classic, I guess, mean girl move. I don't know.
Heartless.
Two more things. When they finally, near the end, catch up to Rick, and he's at the place where, you know, his parents died, you know, and he explains to the girls that, you know, he's just angry all the time, and he wants to, you know, hit and punch things all the time. I just think that's kind of due to his upbringing with his jerk of an uncle. And it's heartbreaking, you know? I mean, it's really too bad, you know, that Rex didn't have a sister. I think Rick might have turned out to be less hurt with a mother figure in his life instead of a jerk uncle for a dad figure. I have one nitpick is why and how did the goggles have the know-how or the information to recreate the accident to show, you know, that Grundy was responsible for their death? I mean, were there like hidden cameras or something, or did he access satellite footage or what? It's just, that's a little too much for me to swallow. But overall, it's a very enjoyable episode. That was my one nitpick. For the rating for this episode, I'm going to give it 6.25 goggles that are better than Wikipedia. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.
That's a lower score. With how enthusiastic you were about your feedback, I thought you were going to rate a little higher. That was a bit of a surprise.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But she had a really good point about her nitpick at the end.
Yeah, well, and just the general feeling, and everybody's exasperated with Courtney right now. She's not thinking clearly and just trusting way too fast. Shoving an hourglass in someone's chest and expecting him to react to that and be like, oh, thanks. Yeah, that's exactly what it was, the feeling.
I think he says something like, you should really stay on your meds. It's really funny.
True. Very, very true. All right, last one is now X-Force 11. Here he is.
Hello, legends, and welcome to the Golden Age with Stargirl Episode 5, Hourman and Dr. Mid-Nite. So, in this episode, we get 2 superheroes added into the new JSA. And Hourman is an interesting character with being able to use strengths and abilities for 1 hour. We get some insight into Rex Tyler and his wife and their son, and we get some pictures of his yellow Mustang. And it's interesting because Rex tells his son to keep that model close to him. It's very important. And we haven't seen why that comes into play yet. We know that his son, the new Hourman, is rebuilding, a Mustang, but we still don't know why yet. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But we get a new Dr. Mid-Nite. Beth gets Dr. Mid-Nite's glasses and meets the AI of Dr. Mid-Nite through the glasses. And we find out some cool things here. We find out that the original Dr. Mid-Nite was 96 years old when he died with the others in 2010, and he served the JSA for 69 years. So I went to the JSA run of 99 that's being featured in the DC Universe app where you can read the comics, and several of the JSA members were hit with a beam in episode 7, and it talks about it that they were hit with this beam in the past and that extended their lives. So he served a long time, but he died with them, and now we've got a new Dr. Mid-Nite picking up the goggles. So it's going to be interesting to see how this group moves forward. All right, talk to you later. X-Force 11 is out.
That is fascinating. I don't remember hearing that. That must have been when he was just rhyming off a bunch of stuff to Beth. I don't remember that little bit of lore in there.
It may not have been stated. It was probably because they pull up a little profile for him. I wonder if it shows the birth date or his age or something along those lines. Because it was saying all of that for all of the people. It said the same thing for Courtney and anybody that she mentioned. So I didn't freeze frames because we're trying to get through these so quickly. So I'm glad that Jeff picked up on that. That was great.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I didn't know that about their characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That's good research, Jeff. Holy thanks. That gives some insight into what's, I guess, why this guy was so smart and why, has the Batman-like tech with him.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Super cool.
Huh. Awesome stuff, guys. Well, thanks for all of your feedback as always. And just like we always do, if you want to do what these fine folks did, follow these instructions.
If you would like to be a part of the show, you can send in your feedback to tomorrowslegends@gmail.com. That's spelled with 1 R. You can also reach us on Twitter at tomorrowslegends, also with 1 R. We'd love you to join our Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/tomorrowslegends and become part of the community.
And we are through another one. Episode 5 done.
And done. Good job. Moving through.
Just let everyone know we are recording for episode 6 on Sunday night. So you have between now and then, I guess whenever you guys listen to this, but we're recording Sunday night, so you can get feedback in by Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern will be a good one for deadline. And I'll be able to get on the show for you. And then we're going to turn around real fast after that. We're recording episode 7 on Monday night. So you've got even shorter time. So if you want to send in double feedback for 6 and 7, go right ahead.
Yep.
Or send in a Monday. But yeah, that's what we're looking at. And we will, we'll be back at it again in 2 more days.
Yeah.
And all you Americans down there celebrating your July 4th tomorrow.
Yeah, July 4th is tomorrow, so happy 4th to all my fellow U.S. people down here. So, yeah, it's gonna be it's a long holiday weekend, which is kind of fun, but also makes it all a little crazy.
Cool. Everybody, just be careful, stay safe out there. We'll talk to you guys in 2 days. This is the Flash signing off,
and this is Harley Quinn. I'm out.
Tomorrow's Legends is not affiliated with CBS, Warner Brothers, or the CW. We're a fan-made podcast for entertainment purposes only and are part of the Cybercast Network.